What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League Podcast. Back for another week. I'm your host, Alex League. We got the co host, Amanda. Good to have you back on.
Always good to be here.
And let's get into it. Week 5 recap. Some really good games, lots of action. I love the London games because it's football all day on Sunday. And so, I've just been enjoying the season. We're getting into the heart of the season. Stuff's starting to make sense. Some teams are proving themselves to be bad, and some teams are proving themselves to be good. So it's a good time of year, don't you think?
Oh, I agree. I disagree about the London games though, because you East Coasters have it nice. Like 9:30, wake up, have a cup of coffee, turn some football on. No, out here, I'm not getting up at 6:30 to watch a game. I will stumble out of bed with my hair shoved up in a bun, my contacts half in my eyes. I'm like, oh, it's the third quarter. Now fuck that. Like, it's too early.
And it was a good game this week too. It sucks that you couldn't watch the full game, but we'll we'll get into that. Let's start with Thursday night football since we didn't do a preview last week. We're going to talk about all that this week. So Bears Commanders 0-4 Bears at the 2-2 Commanders. You picked the Commanders. I picked the Bear. No, you picked the Bears. I picked the Commanders. I just felt like that pass rush for Washington, especially with Chase Young and all those dogs on that line, they were going to get after Fields. And the Bears, to their credit, they jump out to a 27-3 halftime lead. I felt like Washington was going to make a run. They did. They cut it to 30-20, but the Bears are able to hang on and win 40-20. Snaps their longest losing streak in team history at 14 games. What did you think watching this game after picking the Bears? So you got it right. What did you see coming?
So I had made jokes about how the Bears hadn't won since October 24th of last year, since Elon Musk bought Twitter, and I wanted them to go a full year. But when Dick Butkus died,
Yeah,
like the spirit of
R.I.P.
Chicago was in that team. And the Commanders, I agree with you that that Commanders defense has all the people they need to make it good like it was last year, but they're not clicking for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's back. They added some new shiny toys, and for some reason they're just not produced. Like week one, they were on point, but since then they've been progressively getting worse. And I'm done being surprised by their defense not showing up as well as we thought they were going to. So I was expecting them not to show up, and I was right. I mean, Justin Fields, he only threw passes to three different Bears, so it wasn't like he was, whipping out new fancy plays and trying to like trick them. Like they just couldn't stop anything, and it was pretty sad.
Yeah, as much as their D line is nasty, the back end of that defense is kind of weak, kind of soft, and statistically they're not very good. And Justin Fields, to his credit, is starting to show some improvement. On a couple of the throws to DJ Moore, he is using his eyes to open up a window. And that's something we hadn't seen from him to this point, really, much at all. So that was encouraging. And DJ Moore goes absolutely crazy. 8 catches for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, his first half was like a full game. He went absolutely crazy. And to me, that was the deciding factor was DJ Moore just going nuts.
Oh yeah, he broke the Thursday night football record.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was amazing.
incredible.
He was so fun to watch. But I mean, if those throws hadn't been as accurate as they were, I mean, they missed one connection late in the game, in the fourth quarter that just didn't connect. But Justin Fields was hitting his targets, and I've been pleasantly surprised by him. I love to hate on the Bears, but Fields is he's showing off his talent a little bit more in that game, and I want to see more of that from him. The Bears need to fix a lot of issues to let him shine, but he has the talent, and hopefully it's not going to be wasted in Chicago.
Absolutely. And a lot of people prior to this week were talking about the Bears tanking for Caleb Williams, getting the number 1 pick, getting the USC star quarterback. I'm not ready to give up on Justin Fields yet, and this stat is a telling stat. Fields is just the fourth quarterback in NFL history since the merger to record 5,000 passing yards and 1,500 rushing yards in his first 30 starts. He joins Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts. all pretty damn successful quarterbacks.
I think it shows a lot about how you can't just have an offense that clicks on a team. Like your defense has to be meeting you halfway, and Chicago just hasn't been putting together a full team for a full game. I mean,
Yeah,
we've been running our mouths for weeks about Sam Howell, and he played really well in this game. He tried, like he was trying to come back, and I mean, kudos to him after being beat up the past 2 weeks for coming in, and he tried to pull the Commanders out of a hole and he couldn't do it. But I mean, he needs the same support that Justin Fields got this week, and I'm glad the Bears finally have a win and they're finding their rhythm. They have
yeah,
an opponent to find their rhythm against, and I mean the NFC North is a hot mess right now, so we're just going to assume the Lions are going to win that. But I think Justin Fields and Sam Howell both just need the right coaching and the right team built around them to show how much they can actually produce.
yeah. And I've been critical of Ron Rivera for years now, and I think it might be the time to move on from Ron Rivera, give the coaching reins to Eric Bieniemy, and see if he can turn that team around. The Commanders fall to 2-3. The home loss, good win for the Bears. They get to 1-4. A bright spot for the Bears. Ever since getting rid of Robbie Gold, I was upset because he was my favorite kicker. We brought in Cody Parkey. Everyone knows about that disaster with the double doink. But Cairo Santos has really filled in nicely since 2020, 85 of 93 field goals and hasn't missed a kick yet this season.
I wasn't even paying attention to that. Good for him.
Yeah,
So
he's low key.
So you want to talk about kicking? How did you feel about Rivera opting to kick the field goal on 4th and 2 from the Chicago 13-yard line, down 2 scores, putting up 3 points, and then they're still down 2 scores?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with it as a Bears fan. I think that look, the Commanders, there was still time left in the game for them to make a run. They just didn't make enough. They had momentum. I mean, it was 30-20. They're getting back in that game. And if you remember, there was a pass interference that they threw the flag and then picked it up. If that stands, the Commanders likely cut it to like a 3-point game. So it was closer than the score indicates. And then it was like the very next possession, DJ Moore breaks away. It was nearly picked. He catches it, and then he's gone to make it 37-20. So football is an interesting sport where, it's a game of inches sometimes. And I didn't really have a problem with that, but I'm a Bears fan, so maybe I'm just blind to it. Usually I do.
Well, this game, I agree with you. This is one of those games, it felt a lot closer than the score looked for most of the game. And there are some
Hmm.
other games on Sunday that did not feel nearly as close as the score would indicate. And we can get into those later. But yeah, I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah, and to lead into the London game, a game that the score is close, the final score, but it didn't feel very close. Jags jump out to an 11-0 lead on the Bills and win 25-20, snap the Bills' 3-game losing streak. But the Jags felt in control of this game throughout. The Bills couldn't stop Travis Etienne. He goes for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Jags were sloppy. Trevor Lawrence had 2 red zone fumbles, and they still were in control and able to get the win. The Bills didn't look very good. After looking so red hot for 3 weeks in a row, the Bills looked pretty bad on Sunday in London. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I do think the Jags having already been there and dealing with the time change can play into that. I think the
Mm-hmm.
Bills looked a lot less in sync than they have throughout the season. So I'm kind of giving them a mulligan on this one. Like if you're gonna lose or play a shitty game, like let it be a 6:30 in the morning London. Like we just got off the plane, we're in a different country, different time zone. Like I'll let this one slide and we'll see how the Bills come back next week.
Yeah, and it's like a borderline home game for the Jags in London. So
Yeah, I don't like that it was like technically a Bills home game because they painted Bills on the field, but like the Jags have been here for a week and a half. Like that's so weird to me.
Yeah, and the Bills got Von Miller back for this game. So, they were hoping that was going to provide a spark, but at the same time, they lose linebacker Matt Milano, who was a key piece to that defense, and defensive tackle Daquan Jones, both likely for the season. Add to that Tre'Davious White, who they've already lost. The
Hmm.
Bills defense taking some hits early.
Yeah, they're pretty depleted now, and that's gonna hurt them down the line. I mean, they've got a couple other players who are sidelined for the next couple of weeks. Shaq Larson is out. I mean, it's gonna be a
hmm
mess.
Um, Something that I've been harping on for years now. The Bills not having a good running game. Josh Allen too often is the Bills' leading rusher, and I believe he was in this game. Bills held to just 29 yards rushing. I don't think you can win consistently and be an actual contender with that lack of rushing game. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not only do they rely too much on Josh Allen to make the good plays and get it out into small holes. They expect
hmm
him to play half the game on his feet too. And we've seen in Green Bay and a couple other teams this year, you can't just have your quarterback running or just have a receiver or just a running game. You need all three.
Yeah.
And that offense is not going to be able to carry games when their defense is, so injured right now.
I think we're seeing that more this year than even in years past. How vital it is to have complete teams. You can't have any weaknesses because those will get exposed on a week to week basis.
Yeah, agreed.
You want to talk about Texans Falcons?
Sure. That was one of those games that I just didn't I thought it was going to be a close toss-up game. I think you and I talked about that. I mean, Houston, it was a tough loss for them, but I don't think we can ignore that they're putting some pieces together. They're clicking. CJ Stroud is still looking good. I mean, he threw for 249 yards, touchdown, no turnovers. I mean, the defense let the Falcons run all over them. I think this is more on the defense than their offense. But I mean, Stroud is definitely an up and comer to keep your eye on for sure. And you and I have been talking about him all season.
Yeah, Stroud is continuing to look great. He sets the NFL record for 186 passes thrown without an interception to start his career. So, um, he's really like showing out that like so early. A lot of young quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers was talking about this a little bit on the Pat McAfee show today about how there's always growing pains with rookie quarterbacks, and CJ Stroud was the most pro ready, and he has come in and not really missed a beat, and is leading the team and protecting the football, and he even leads the Texans down the field, throws a go ahead touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go, and almost pulled this a road win off in Atlanta. But Desmond Ritter, we were critical of him last week and talking about should they bench him, what should they do. Desmond Ritter comes through, leads the team down, gets the game-winning field goal. No turnovers for Desmond Ritter. Played a pretty good game. We have to give him some credit as well.
Yeah, I think we need to eat our words from last week. We've been talking a lot of shit about Desmond Ritter, but 329 yards, a touchdown. I mean, he had that team hustling. They were clicking really well. I mean, he played very well. So I think they
hmm
should feel encouraged, especially in the NFC South, which is wide open right now. Anyone could take that division. So I think they feel some hope there, and they're feeding off of that for sure.
Yeah, and they're trying to help Desmond Ritter out as well. Bijan Robinson and Jonnu Smith are leading the league in catches. And just today, the Falcons trade with the Rams for wide receiver Van Jefferson. So they bring him in along with Drake London and Matt Collins. Maybe that'll help get Desmond Ritter throwing the ball a little bit better.
Yeah, I
So,
mean he showed some flashes of greatness, so I'll be intrigued to see what happens over the next couple weeks to see if he can stay in that spot or if he regresses again.
yeah, absolutely. And it's turning out to be a pretty tough division over there. The Saints look good. The Bucks look good. The Panthers suck ass, but Atlanta's in the mix for sure.
Tell us how you really feel.
Speaking of the Panthers, all right, and I feel this way on purpose because I picked the Panthers to beat the Lions. This was a hate pick. This is me like, the Lions. Sometimes when the Lions are feeling themselves in recent history, they'll trip up and lose a game that they have no business losing. But to Detroit's credit, they jump out to a 28-7 first half lead and win easily, 42-24 over the hapless Panthers. Jared Goff, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. And how about David Montgomery continuing to get it done over there behind a much better O line than he ever played behind in Chicago? Montgomery is top 10 in every major rushing category despite missing a game, and he's first in the league in broken tackles. I love what David Montgomery is doing over there in Detroit.
I know he's had such an amazing career. Like the injuries he's overcome, and I mean, moving when he moved up north, I mean, he is still producing, and I love him. I mean, I hate that he's in Detroit and not in Green Bay, but I'm I am so pleased with the amount of talent they've accumulated in Detroit. And I have picked the Detroit Lions to win 4 games and lose one this year. I got that loss wrong, but their record is what my picks have been. So
Hmm.
I am in sync with whatever the Lions are doing right now. And man, Aiden Hutchinson,
Yeah.
he is a monster. Forcing 3 turnovers, like, oh, come on. Can he just move to Green Bay, please? Like, we need so much help on defense. Our defense has so many holes in it. So I'm just mostly jealous of the Lions at this point. Like, I can't hate on them. Like Sam Laporta, amazing. Their rookies, amazing. I'm just jealous at this point. Um, and I think Aaron Glenn is going to be getting some coaching buzz after what he's done for the defense over there this year for sure.
Yeah, love Aaron Glenn and what he's doing. Dan Campbell is really building something over there. To think that Aiden Hutchinson didn't go number one overall and went number two to Detroit, the Jaguars could have easily had him. Um, Aiden Hutchinson, 4 career interceptions already. It's pretty incredible for a defensive end. Um, Now, let me pump the brakes on the Lions real quick. I know everyone's feeling the Lions are out to a 4-1 start. I just want to remind people that I've seen this before. In 2007, the Lions started the season 6-2 and were leading the division and had everyone in Detroit feeling optimistic and great. They went on to finish this season 1-7 and go 7-9 and miss the playoffs. So the Lions still have a lot to prove. Um, they need to keep it up. They should win the division. I think right now everyone's expectations are for the Lions to win the division and then host a playoff game. And if you got a home playoff game, can you win your first playoff game since 1992? There's going to be a lot of pressure involved in that. So the Lions still have a lot to prove. Can they keep it going throughout the entire season? I'm interested to see how that goes.
Well, you have to remember they get to play the rest of the NFC North. I mean, they've got quite a few wins under their belt already. Like winning that division should be easy because oof, it is a mess.
It
Um,
should be. Is there any chance the Bears or the Packers or maybe the Vikings turn it around, get
the
out, get,
Vikings, maybe. I don't think the
yeah,
Packers can this year. I think if the Packers were fully healthy and everyone was on the field and Bakhtiari was there and Aaron Jones wasn't fighting injuries on and off and everyone was playing, maybe, but no.
yeah, yeah. It looks it looks like it's the Lions division to win.
Yeah. I
And
want to I want to add something about Aiden Hutchinson. He is
yeah,
the first defensive lineman in his first 25 career games to have 4 interceptions since 1940.
yeah, it's you don't see that. You see 4 picks and you think he's a defensive back. For a
Yeah, that's
defensive end to
insane.
be doing that, that's crazy.
Well, and the last person took 25 games. It's taken him 5. That is insane.
Yeah, credit to him. Well,
Let's switch to the other side of the ball. Let's talk about, Bryce Young and his NFL education.
I mean, Bryce Young is struggling. He's still continuing to struggle. He's turning the ball over. He's got veteran Adam Thielen. He leads the team, but I think the issues go beyond Bryce Young, though. I think it's a poor team around him. I think Frank Reich needs to give up play calling. He sucks. And from everything that I've been hearing over there, it sounds like the owner, David Tepper, is very hands-on, and he might be getting in the way of that team a little bit and making things more difficult. It doesn't seem like a very fundamentally sound front office and building over there in Carolina.
Oh, I agree. I mean, some of the plays, it just it felt tense.
Yeah.
Sam didn't seem like he was comfortable with some of the plays, and I mean that pick that Hutchinson got, he should have never let that ball go.
Yeah, it's like he threw it right to him.
Yeah, so I don't think that he and Frank are in sync there at all. I mean, when you're getting your butt kicked by a team who's missing one of their best receivers and one of their best running backs, I mean,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely some dysfunction there.
Yeah, credit to the Lions. Good win without Amon-Ra and without Jahmyr Gibbs. Um, you want to talk Titans Colts?
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
So that was the one that I had written on our picks, and I said close game, toss up, could go either way, and it was exactly a one score game.
Yep.
Um, I mean, thank heaven for backups. I mean, Jonathan Taylor agreed to his 3-year extension. Everyone expected him to come in and fill that key role. But it was Zach Moss who carried the Colts, racking up 195 yards. I mean, Anthony Richardson exited with that shoulder injury. And we've seen the Colts backup. We know what he can do. Minshew Mania comes
Yeah.
back again. So I this is a great example of teams having the next man up and having it work out for them. Because we've seen so many teams this year who lose a key player in a key position and don't have anyone who can fill their holes and fill
Yeah.
their shoes and make up that spot to, cover during the time of the injury. And the Colts have sorted that out.
Yeah, credit to them. Minshew, he didn't look that great since Minshew Mania was all the way back in Jacksonville. And since then, a lot of that mania had died down, and he had become just a backup and maybe even a bad backup at times in Philly and these certain spots. But to his credit, he's come in and gotten the job done, and most importantly, not turned the ball over and give his team a chance to win games. And where the hell did Zach Moss come from? Like, he's never done this in his life. So I'm excited. I'm pumped that Jonathan Taylor got this new deal. It's great for running backs, 3-year, $42 million deal. Love to see that. Um, but if Zach Moss can be this change of pace back as Jonathan Taylor gets more involved, then suddenly you got two running backs. You got Minshew as a good backup, and then the good news for Anthony Richardson is it isn't season ending, so he'll be back at some point. And
Mhm.
Minshew looks like he can fill in and keep the team competitive while AR is out.
Yeah, and I think this speaks a lot to Shane Steichen coming in and being as good of a coach as he is. I mean, he has done so much for making sure that they have that second string who can come in and fill in those holes. And on the other side of the ball, I mean, Tennessee, obviously it's a loss, but they're showing some progress. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they were limited to 94 yards against the Browns in week 3. They gained 400 yards last week. I mean, another 347 this week. Like they're improving. Red zone execution is still a little choppy, but I mean we've definitely seen some improvement and some glimmers of hope for Tennessee.
Yeah, I like this Titans team. I'm pissed that they lost this game. This is a game they should have won. If you're going to be a playoff team, you have to win games like this. You can't lose to Gardner Minshew. You got to take care of business. They got ran all over by Zach Moss. You can't allow that to happen. I know Vrabel's pissed off. And then you can't go turnover on downs in the red zone. You have to at least come away with some points. And then Derrick Henry was just off, just inches away from throwing another touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins. I think if that gets completed, the Titans win the game. But you can't, first and foremost, you can't allow Zach Moss to go for 200 yards damn near and expect to win the game. So credit to Indy for a big divisional win.
Yeah, I mean they pulled it off when they needed to, and I think that's a great example for the rest of the NFL for filling those secondary gaps for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Uh,
speaking of teams that need to fill some gaps, the Patriots got their butts kicked 34-0. I mean, last week we saw New Orleans defense struggle against the Buccaneers, but against New England, they got a shutout. I mean,
yeah,
Kyron got everything going early. He had that pick six. I mean, two more takeaways later in the game. I mean, even with Derek Carr, who you and I aren't, I don't know if we're fully in on. Like, I think he's a better fit in New Orleans than he was in Vegas, but he's still trying to sort his path out, still trying to find his spot, get into his rhythm. Um, they made him look really good. I think that was a great game for them. And you and I have talked about, you know, the Patriots and their quarterback situation. How are you feeling after this game?
I'm in shock. Like my jaw is on the floor. Like last year I was critical of the Patriots because of special teams and uncharacteristic mistakes that you don't normally see out of a Bill Belichick coach team. The Patriots are coming off of 34 and 35-point losses in back-to-back weeks. They look absolutely abysmal. They look decent against the Dolphins despite a loss on Sunday Night Football. I think that was week 2 or week 3.
Yeah.
Um, but they look terrible. And I'm not going to pick this team to win. Hold me to that. I'm done picking this team. Like, bench Mac Jones, put in Bailey Zappi, trade for Kirk Cousins, do something because this team is trash. And I don't know what it is, but uh, to put up 0 points at home in Foxborough against a good Saints team, but not a great defense, like there's no excuses. Back to back games where you just don't even show up. Embarrassing against the Cowboys, embarrassing against the Saints. Like start over from scratch. I thought it couldn't get any worse than Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as offensive coordinators and calling plays. Whatever this is, it's worse.
Yeah.
And they need to start over. They need to do something. It's bad right now in New England.
Yeah. Well, I just don't know how you can bench your starting quarterback one week and then say, oh, no, we're going to do better this week. Have to bench him again and
Yeah,
not make a public statement about him not being your quarterback the following week. Like,
yeah.
it's time for some tough love for Mac Jones. Like, you can't be benched 2 weeks in a row and then still have the starting gig on the third week. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's giving me Rex Grossman flashbacks. Like seriously, like not, I mean, 3 turnovers is bad. He threw for 110 yards. That's not gonna beat Michigan State, let alone the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
So, credit to the Saints, Derek Carr. I do like Derek Carr. As long as he can stay healthy, the Saints have
Mhm.
talent. I think they're contenders in that division. New England needs to go into the doghouse. They're terrible.
Yeah, and we had said last week they were, you know, their biggest loss in however many years. I mean, this was their largest shutout at home in franchise history. They're setting records they don't want to be setting.
No, I
And
mean, yeah.
I, I know the Saints played a good game, but I don't know how to feel about them in this game because they just, I mean, they could have been playing a high school team for all we know. Like, I have no idea what to gauge their play versus the Patriots who just didn't even try. So I'm gonna withhold judgment here, but I'm gonna give you credit. You didn't pick the Pats this week. You picked the Saints.
Well, if you're gonna shut out New England in Foxborough, you got to get credit, and you're gonna be feeling yourself. Teron Matthew, the pick six, we love to see that. Uh, Derek Carr played well. Alvin Kamara goes for damn near 100 yards. And how about Michael Thomas, who a lot of people have forgotten about? He's been consistently productive so far this year. I love to see that, along with Chris Olave. If you've got Chris Olave and Michael Thomas both producing, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch at receiver.
Yeah, I said during this game, and I was like, oh, for a second, I forgot about Olave. It's amazing that you can forget about someone as good as Olave because your offense is just that well put together.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go Giants at Dolphins. Uh the Dolphins pull away in the second half to win 31-16. A lot of people were expecting a blowout, especially the way the Giants looked. Who did they get their ass kicked by last week? The Seahawks. And they gave
Yeah.
up 11 sacks. Well, they give up 7 more sacks in this game. That offensive line is trash. But the Dolphins kept them in the game. Tua throws a pick six and 2 turnovers. Surprisingly, the Dolphins didn't look as good as they could have in this game. A lot of yards, but some sloppy play, some turnovers kept this game somewhat close. What did you think?
I mean, I definitely think Tua, he was pulling towards that MVP slot. And I think we might have hit a snag this week. He showed his weaknesses a little bit. Luckily they pulled off the win. And one of his interceptions was a tipped pass, so I'm not gonna hold that fully against him. But
Yeah,
but I think they'll be fine. I don't think the Dolphins really have much to worry about yet. I mean, the Giants are a weird team. They've pulled off some interesting games this season that I mean, they've got one good win. And then there's been a
yeah.
couple other games where I'm like, huh, but they lost, but they still surprised me a bit. Like that game was closer than I thought was gonna be. Um, and I just don't know. I think that's a coaching thing and a management thing for the Giants because if that O-line if
It's
they had an
terrible.
O-line, like if there was
Yeah.
one, like I don't know what's happening in that locker room where they just let their quarterback take that many hits. Like what is going on? Why hasn't that
Well,
been addressed?
well, yeah, and now he's got a neck injury. It's not serious, luckily, and he's trying to play week 6 at the Bills. But you're 1-4. You've allowed 17 sacks in the last 2 games, and now you're going to Buffalo. Let's pencil that in, or Sharpie it, whatever you want to do as a loss. And you're staring down the barrel of a 1-5 start after you made the playoffs last year. So any way you look at it, even if the Giants are staying in some games, they're they're bad. Their record is what you say you are. If you're 1-5 after week 6, like Brian Dable needs to be on the hot seat soon. He needs to take a lot of the fall for this, um, especially if they can't block, if they can't protect Daniel Jones. He's going to get hurt. They need Saquon Barkley back as soon as possible. But if the O line can't do anything, what good is it?
Yeah. And I think their
So
their injuries are really getting to them too. I mean, Andrew Thomas is out, Shane Lemo is out, John Michael Schmitz is out. Like, so
yeah, that's
not
true.
it's not just them not knowing what to do with their personnel, it's them having a lot of holes in their personnel due to injuries. But
Yeah,
we need to do something about that. And I will say for Miami, they definitely had some moments where they had to, stay focused and not get ahead of themselves and stay in the game. There was definitely some mental battles going on there, especially after getting their butts kicked last week by the Bills. I think I was expecting because I've seen Tua be a bit pouty after a butt kicking before. Like I've
yeah.
seen Miami have some struggles after the week after getting their butt kicked. So I was intrigued to see how this game would go, but luckily it was the Giants, so they didn't have anything to worry about. But
R- Real
they
quick on the Dolphins, another thing that hurts them, one of their most explosive weapons so far this season, rookie running back Devon Achane, expected to miss multiple weeks with a knee injury. I hate to see that, and it sucks for the Dolphins losing one of their most explosive and fastest players.
Yeah, he reached a speed of 21.76 miles per hour on a 76-yard touchdown run this week, which is the second fastest speed reached by a ball carrier this season.
Yeah, I'm
Sucks.
gonna be.
He's
Yeah,
gonna go on IR.
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, they're estimating what, 4 weeks?
Yeah, IR is 4 weeks. Hopefully, he'll be good to go after those 4 weeks.
Well, yeah, I mean I know IR is 4, but they said that it should only be the 4, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Does they trade with the Bears for Chase Claypool? Do you think that adds anything? I mean, he's been terrible since 3 years ago, since like 2020, damn near. Does he provide anything for the Dolphins?
Well, they said they weren't looking for any receiving talent, that they only wanted to add depth. And I mean, I said last week that I mean, signing Chase Claypool wasn't going to add any talent for sure. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a fan. I think maybe in the right system with the right coach, that might be something that could be developed, but I do not think that is the right coach.
Yeah, and with him, it seems like it's mental. We know he's
I
got the
do.
talent. He
I
just doesn't
absolutely
want to
agree with that.
block.
I think
Yeah.
Pete Carroll could fix him right up.
Yeah. Someone needs to fix him up.
Dan Campbell, Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Somebody.
mm, You definitely need the right coach to deal with a personality like that, though, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe someone like Andy Reid,
Talk
but
about
fuck
the
the Chiefs.
humanities.
Yeah. um, let's go Ravens at Steelers. We thought we had this game figured out. The Steelers kind of up and down. Fire Matt Canada has been the theme in Pittsburgh. Ravens coming in red hot, looking like they had it figured out, looking like Todd Monken had that offense hitting on all cylinders. And then we see it all come back down to earth, and we should have seen this coming. Any divisional game in the AFC North is always tough, and we got to go to Pittsburgh. I'm gonna always call it Heinz Field. I don't give a shit what its name is now. Those are always tough. You got T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith. After not recording a sack last week, they balled out this week. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Joey Porter Jr. with a big interception, and the Steelers, despite trailing 10-0 in the first half, steal a win. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. Steal a win, 17-10 at home over a red hot Ravens team. Impressive win for Pittsburgh, huh?
I mean, they pulled it off. You and I picked this together wrong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time trusting the Steelers.
I
And
do too. Yeah.
we know how much talent Baltimore has, but like especially on their receiving core, I don't know what was going on this week. Like they have an amazing receiving core and nobody could catch the damn ball.
Yeah.
Like there were 3 drop touchdowns. I don't know if they had money on the Steelers this week or what, but I mean, Mark Andrews dropped 2 touchdowns, Rashad Bateman dropped one, consecutive throws. I mean, what was going on? Like that, had any of those plays where receivers drop passes, like if they caught half of those passes that were dropped in that game, I mean, the Ravens would have blown the Steelers out of the water. Like Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson showed a rare critical error in the fourth with that end zone interception, but I mean, he played a good game. His receivers were to fault for this game 100%.
Yeah, it was a sloppy game for Baltimore, and they deserved to lose. They completely choked it away. It was such a winnable game, and they allow a blocked punt. They had a lot of issues, a lot of self-inflicted issues. John Harbaugh decided this is I've been so critical of Harbaugh, decides to go for it on 4th and 2 with 25 seconds left in the first half and it gets a turnover on downs, kick the easy field goal, go up 2 scores, go up 10 points, and it will be 13-3. Instead, you're taking points off your own board. You got drop touchdowns, you got turnovers in the end zone. The Ravens were asking to get beat, and if you allow the Steelers to hang around at home, they're gonna find a way to win, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that the win for Pittsburgh didn't come from their offense. It was their
Yeah,
defense and special teams. I mean, it was mostly special teams, if we're being honest. I mean,
yeah.
that blocked punt, like that sealed it
Mom-
there. And I mean,
Momentum. Yeah,
their defense has been playing really well. I have seen them kind of flicker out in seasons past. We'll be intrigued to see if that Pittsburgh defense stays hot through the next couple weeks. But they were bailed out by that defense and special teams for sure. Because I mean, they won with 17 points. It's not like the
yeah.
offense was, blowing out the Ravens. Like that was not on their offense for sure. So they're definitely going to need to fix the offense, especially when they're playing a team who can catch the ball, and keep that defense going hot. So I'll be intrigued to see over the next 2 to 3 weeks what their record looks like.
Yeah, George Pickens is still a monster. I'm gonna keep telling people about that. Uh, Go ahead touchdown for him beating Marlon Humphrey on the play.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Ravens, their issue, they've been doing it for years now. They've had 6 of their last 9 losses. They had double digit leads and blew those games. So they whatever they're doing, they got to fix it. And I've been super critical of John Harbaugh's decision making at times, and they got to clean up the drops and all the mistakes.
Agreed. Yeah, I can't really add much to that. Other
Yeah,
than a bright spot for Pittsburgh, Jalen Warren
yeah.
came in and he added some fire in that fourth quarter. They were down 10-5. He caught a pass for 23 yards on 3rd and 8. I mean, yeah, he came in hot. He was trying. So we'll give him some credit there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, let's go Eagles Rams. How about Cooper Kupp with his season debut? Were you excited to see Kupp back in action?
I was glad to see him back. I was kind of disappointed.
I mean, he's not gonna go Jerry Rice or Calvin Johnson again this year, and then now he's got to split touches with Puka.
Yeah, but I mean, they started the game hot and then it faded real quick. I mean,
Yeah.
Cup's been out 12 games. That's fine. Like he he can come back to a slow start. But I mean, with him and Puka Nacor, I expected so much more production. I mean, the first half of the game they looked good, and then the second half they just were completely handled. The Eagles had that in the bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 14-10 lead. And then to me, I thought with the killer, they take a 14-10 lead with 30 seconds left in the first half, and they allow the Eagles to score a touchdown before halftime. Like, that is unacceptable. You want to take a lead and positive momentum into the half. You allow the Eagles to score in 30 seconds, huge momentum swing, and all the positive energy goes to that Eagles locker room, you know?
Yeah, I picked the Eagles to win this one. I mean you did too. So
Me too,
I was
yeah.
pulling for the Eagles at the half there. So watching it as a, temporary Eagles fan, I was pleased with the Eagles there. But yeah, as the Rams, you can't let them do that. You got to hold on to that momentum. And it looked like they didn't care if they scored.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles
They're
moved down the field so well in that final possession of the first half, and the Rams were not even putting up a fight.
Well, you think about it, the Rams, they no longer have Jalen Ramsey. They no longer have Leonard Floyd. They don't have Bobby Wagner. They don't have Darius Williams. A lot of pieces missing on that defense from when they went to the Super Bowl. And Stafford is older. He's not the same as what he was. He's had quite a bit of a drop off in the last 2 years, in my opinion. So, Rams fans and some people might expect the Rams to look, they're talented. They should be better than they are. At the end of the day, I don't think this Rams team is anywhere close to, I don't think they make the playoffs. I think the Seahawks and Niners are the two best teams in that division.
I agree. I agree. That division's generally tough, and the
Yeah.
teams who are the two, the top of the division rotate every couple of years. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough year for the Rams. And I mean, I talk a little bit of shit about how they let the Eagles score there before the half, but I mean that brotherly shove is really hard to defend against. Um, and
Yeah.
I don't think the Rams have the defense to be the team that learns how to stop it. I think their expertise is offense. They've got a great team up front, but I think their defense has some definite holes in it that they would need to address next year, maybe, if they want to have a
Hmm.
shot in coming back and getting the top of the division back.
Yeah, and shout out to Eagles rookie defensive tackle Jalen Carter. On pace for defensive rookie of the year. He leads all defensive tackles, not just rookies, all defensive tackles in pressures, and he's third among DTs in sacks. I was comparing him to Aaron Donald and Chris Jones pre-draft. I got some pushback for it, and to me, he steps on the field and he's that impactful. He's Aaron Donald. He's Chris Jones. He's disruptive as fuck on the D line, and you need to double team him. And even that might not be enough. He's a monster.
He is. And I think Hassan Reddick was taking a note out of his book, and he had 2 sacks in a row on 3rd and 4th down late in the game too. So
Yeah,
it was a pretty day for that Eagles defense for sure. And it was nice to see Dallas Goddard get going. I mean, we've been
yeah,
waiting for him to show up. Like, not that the Eagles have really needed him. They've been fine, fifth in yards and points, but we haven't seen a lot of tight end action. But he played this week, 88 yards, 13 catches. So, The Rams didn't have any response for that tight end this week. And it was nice to see him get out there and have some production finally.
Yeah, you need that. You need all the offensive production you can get. And if Devontae Smith isn't having a great game, AJ Brown's your consistent. Dallas Goedert needs to be able to step up and be another guy. And he's got the
Absolutely.
talent. He's in the same conversation as, any Mark Andrews, Travis Kelsey, formerly Zach Ertz, what Zach Ertz used to be.
Yeah, R.I.P. I miss the old Zach Ertz, man. That guy was so fun to watch.
Well, he's buried in Arizona with Josh Dobbs throwing the ball. So let's talk about the Cardinals. Well, how about you got this one wrong, and I don't know why were you picking the Cardinals here?
Because Joe Burrow is I he's one of those. So I have picked him thinking he would come back after that injury quicker than he did and been
Yep.
wrong. The past 2 weeks, I have picked Joe Burrow's wrong. So I was like, all right, fuck it. This week I'm not gonna pick him then. Screw him. So this was my hate pick of the week, okay?
All right, I'll
Burrows
let
and
it
I are in a
slide.
fight. Yeah. I mean, I'm still kicking your ass, so you can't talk too much shit. But I was just thinking, like, and also the Cardinals, they've won a game. It could have happened. I don't know.
They've been competitive.
Yeah. I mean, if Burrows played like shit, the Cardinals could have easily won that game, but they did not. I thought it was going to be more of a toss-up. It was 14-point difference, so obviously I was wrong. I will take this hit.
Well, the problem is wide receiver one. Jamar Chase went absolutely nuts.
Oh, he played so well. And it was
You think
beautiful.
you think about that franchise. You think about Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco. You think about AJ Green. You think about all the weapons they've had. Jamar Chase since the franchise record, 15 catches, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. Never been done before. He's an absolute baller. And you got Joe Burrow over there on half a leg.
Yeah, so that was kind of my thing is over the past 4 games, the Bengals offense has scored 3 touchdowns over 4 games.
Yeah.
So I thought, maybe the Cardinals could kind of hold them to that again this week. But no, they had 3 this week. So, Jamar Chase is a thorn in the Arizona Cardinals side, and it was beautiful to watch though. I mean, I don't mind being wrong every now and then, but I mean 15 catches, 192 yards. Oh, it was
Yeah.
beautiful. And
And
T.
another,
Higgins was out too. And
oh,
they didn't
yeah.
even, they didn't even notice he was out. Like he's got a cracked rib. So I thought maybe, the Bengals might have a bit of a challenge there. The Cardinals would have Jamar Chase covered, and they did not.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, just double team, focus on Jamar Chase,
Yeah, they
and
have
if
one
anyone,
receiver.
yeah, but he still torched them. And a big reason why this game wasn't as competitive, to his credit, Josh Dobbs has protected the football. He hadn't thrown an interception up until this game, but 3 turnovers.
Hmm.
And we say it all the time. Turnovers, in my opinion, are more important in today's NFL than ever before. And if you turn the ball over, you're a lot less likely to win.
Yeah, I think it was
So,
just a week of quarterbacks throwing 3 turnovers. I think there was something in the water or something.
yeah. And then on top of it, the Cardinals are who I thought they were, to borrow that from Dennis Green. They are who I thought they were.
Yeah.
Um, because I said they were going to be bad. I think they're a 3-win team. 3 and
Yep.
14, I think, is their record. And Josh Dobbs struggled, and James Conner, their number one running back, expected to miss multiple weeks with a knee injury, might go on injured reserve. So that doesn't help at all either.
I mean, I almost feel like he was just sacrificing himself to get off that field away from Josh Dobbs at this point. Like,
Yeah, making up an
not even
injury
worth
damn near.
playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Dobbs had 15 completions.
Yeah. He's a
That
backup quarterback. He's not an NFL starter.
that's insane to me. And then I want
Yeah.
to circle back to Jamar Chase really quick. We were just talking about the, receiving MVP history coming out of Cincinnati. Jamar Chase joined Jerry Rice as the only player since 1950 with multiple games of 10 plus receptions, 190 plus receiving yards, and 3 plus receiving touchdowns.
Damn.
He is an elite company now.
Yeah, anytime you're in the same convo as the GOAT, you
Uh-huh.
know, that's
Yeah.
some major shit. What were your thoughts on Jets Broncos? So Me and you disagreed on this game. I'm about done picking the Broncos for the season,
I mean,
but
they lost by 50 last time. You're not gonna be done with them at that point.
well, it's
Alex,
damn near it's Zach Wilson. Like fuck that guy. But the Broncos should have won this game. The Broncos had
really should.
opportunity after opportunity to win this game, and they choked it away.
I mean, they let New York score the most points they've scored since week 12 of last season.
Their defense is shit. Vance Joseph, how is he still employed?
Okay, so here's my thing with this game is Denver they move the ball fine. I mean,
Yeah,
their offense had its moments where they, were a mess, but they played offense pretty well. They had no defense.
yeah, same story.
Like, I don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson has got to be just depressed at this point. I mean, he left the Legion of Boom and Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl win, and now he's in Denver where there is no defense.
What did you think of those white helmets? I thought they were pretty cool.
I liked the uniforms. I did.
Yeah,
I thought they were pretty sleek.
and too bad they couldn't put out a better performance wearing those uniforms. Nathaniel Hackett gets revenge on Sean Payton after the offseason barrage he took.
Mhm. I love that they
Uh,
gave him the game ball. That is
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Aaron Rodgers was pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Um, Real quick, the Jets get to 2-3. You've seen the talk about Aaron Rodgers trying to come back this season, right?
He's done it before.
What do you think about that? I mean, if they can tread water and he can come back in December, who knows?
I mean, as a Packers fan, we have had him come back after, Flynn it to win it, Seneca Wallace. We had, five quarterbacks over 8 weeks, fill in the holes and carry the team so he could come back so we could lose the NFC championship. Anyway, but it's been done before. Sorry, I just went to a dark place. It's been done before, and there's always a chance that man recovers well. It must be something in his illegal or mildly illegal substances he likes to do, or his darkness retreats, but he recovers pretty well for an old man. So if
Yeah.
if anyone can come back and do it from an Achilles tear, Aaron Rodgers can do it.
How
So I would
about
be intrigued.
what a story that would be. The NFL would go crazy if that happens.
I would vomit.
I would root for it. I mean,
I
look,
would too, but why is he doing it for another team?
I would never root for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I hated that man, but he's become so much more likable to me now that he's out of the division. So,
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, we've seen Zach Wilson play some pretty solid football 2 weeks in a row now. Brees Hall, he's running
oh
233
my
rushing
God,
yards,
Brees
28
Hall.
carries, 8.3 yards per carry. That's fucking bonkers. If that offense can hold, and their defense, we already knew their defense was good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a chance.
Let's not put the obituary on the Jets yet, and they're definitely not the worst team in that division.
That
Cough,
is
cough, Bill
true.
Belichick.
Yeah, oh
So,
God. What year is it that Aaron Rodgers goes out four snaps into the game? The fifth was his Achilles, sorry. And the Patriots are the worst team. I don't
yeah,
know what alternate universe this is. Like, if you had told me that 5 years ago, I'd been like, what the hell are you talking about?
this is some weird Madden sim that most of us
Mhm.
would restart the season, but we're gonna
Yeah, for
enjoy
sure.
it.
Yeah, and
Um,
and I think the Broncos have a tough road coming up for them too. I mean, in the next 4 weeks, they've got the Chiefs twice, the
yeah.
Packers, which will be very fun in my house because my husband's a Broncos fan and the Packers suck and the Broncos suck. So I don't know if we're gonna do any shit talking this year. We usually have a wager in there, but I don't know about this year. Maybe we'll just like not watch the game. And then they play the Bills. So I think that's three losses and a maybe.
Yeah, I think the
Yes.
Broncos are staring at like 2-7, 2-8 record
Oof,
wise at best.
poor
I
kid.
mean, they're about to be 1-5 in my opinion. So, let's talk about Chiefs Vikings. What are your thoughts here? Um, it wasn't a blowout, but Vikings fall to 1-4.
It was much closer than I thought it was going to be. And I was talking hella shit on the NFC North after Monday night, and I said that I am just a Lions fan now. I can't root for any of the other teams in the NFC North because they're garbage. And I picked the Chiefs to win by multiple scores in this game. You picked the Vikings just for
Yeah,
fun.
that was a hate pick. Yep.
Yeah, just for funsies. And I told you you're grounded, but it was closer than I expected for sure. And I mean, your hate pick almost paid off. It was a one score difference at the end there. And I know Kansas City is 4-1. I don't think their offense is clicking as well as we've seen them in years past.
Yeah.
And
They
I know that's weird to say because they just won again. I mean, Patrick Mahomes threw for 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, but Minnesota's defense isn't that good, and they only had 334 yards against a not very good defense.
No, the Chiefs have a tendency to play down to their competition at times. And
True.
they'll be like, this is easy money. We don't need to put forth as much effort. They survived a scare with Travis Kelce. Luckily, he didn't have a high ankle sprain or a Achilles or anything like that. Just a normal ankle sprain. He returns to the game, catches a touchdown. So they survived that one. Mahomes has been like kicked and stepped on a few times to start this year. He's been limping around multiple games now. So the Chiefs have to be happy that they're 4-1,
Mm-hmm.
even though they haven't looked as good as they should. I knew it was going to be a long game when Josh Oliver fumbled on the opening play
Well, the first
for the
play of the game, you
Vikings.
lose the ball. That's like
Yeah.
starting the game with a safety. Like, oh, just fucking kill us now. Like, that's
But
so
yeah,
bad for morale.
I mean the Chiefs they'll be all right. I think they get to 5-1 and they don't care as long as they win the division, get a home playoff game, they'll be in position to make a run at the Super Bowl again. So we'll see, what happens in the AFC. But much more concerning to me is this Vikings team who falls to
Yeah.
1-4, and Justin Jefferson goes on IR. He's going to miss the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
This Vikings team is in trouble, I think.
I just don't see him coming out of this hole. I mean, Jordan Addison, rookie, he's had a great rookie season so far, but I mean, they were supposed to be a 1-2 punch, and I just don't think they have a three to come up and fill that slot. I mean, not that Minnesota has had a good season so far, but I just think it's going to get worse for them.
Yeah. I mean, they've been competitive, but they've lost games they should have won.
And
And
now they're losing their best player,
yeah.
arguably.
And
Um,
to
yeah.
me, I just want to take a second and say how happy this makes me because you cut Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in the league. I know he's not killing it in New York, and Vikings fans are trying to justify the move by saying, oh, Dalvin Cook's washed now. Get the fuck off my lawn. Dalvin Cook went for 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns last year. You take him away from Kirk Cousins, this is exactly what you get. You get stats with no substance. And now you lose Justin Jefferson. Oh, I bet you wish you had Dalvin Cook now, huh?
Mm.
But Vikings are going to miss the playoffs in a terrible division, likely. And I just, I love it. And the Vikings were so much better under Mike Zimmer and Kevin Stefanski. Kevin O'Connell brings that analytics crap along with the new GM. This team's going to hell. This team's going to miss the playoffs, and I love
Aggressive. Okay.
it.
I love when you bring your hatred into the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
I agree with you though. I think it's really stupid when teams think they're going to get better after cutting their best player or
Exactly.
releasing or trading
One of
or
their best. Yeah.
yeah. Like anyone in your top three, like Green Bay obviously didn't have many other options with the Aaron Rodgers situation, but like it would have been nice if we were able to keep Alan Lazard or Devontae
Well,
Adams or literally
exactly.
anyone.
Well, did Green Bay get better when you lost Devontae Adams?
God no.
God, no. And would they get better if they got rid of Aaron Jones? Absolutely not.
No, we saw what that looks like this week when he didn't play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to accumulate talent. You look at the best teams in the league, they have a surplus of talent. You get rid of your best players, you're going to lose games 100%.
Yeah. And you deserve to, honestly.
Yep.
Make better choices.
Yep. Enjoy that analytics ball over there in Minnesota at 1-4. All
All right, we need you to move on.
right. All right. Let's talk Sunday Night Football. You picked the Cowboys. No, I'm just joking.
Right.
What happened here? The Niners kicked their ass.
I mean, you put Niners over Cowboys, and I put same fuck the Cowboys. And the Niners listen to us. Dallas just needs to do more. Like their offense, Dak Prescott, oh man, he hasn't thrown for 265 yards in any game. And
Yeah.
he didn't make a big play. He threw 3 interceptions. Like I said, I think it's the week of 3 interceptions for quarterbacks. If Dallas is going to have any chance of competing in the NFC, Prescott needs to be better.
Yes. I'm worried about Dak.
Me
Legit.
too. I'm worried about the Cowboys because of Dak. I mean,
Like,
not only is he having an off year and he's not playing very well and they're not clicking, next year they're completely fucked if he can't start producing. $60 million cap hit next year.
oh yeah, and they're talking about him getting another contract at like damn near 50 mil a year.
For what? What are you giving him a contract for?
They were talking about it on TV today. Like, well, you can't get anybody better. He's a top 10 quarterback. I'm like, is he?
He is
Like, and
gone.
this is the issue with Dallas. When they play a bad team like the Patriots or teams like that, or the Jets,
And they
when
blow him
and they're
out.
yeah, they blow them out and they look like Super Bowl contenders. But you play a legit team like the Niners and you get your ass kicked. And the Niners own the Cowboys. They knocked them out of the playoffs 2 years in a row. If there's ever a game that the Cowboys need to show up to and play their best football, it's this one on Sunday Night Football on national TV. And to get embarrassed is just a terrible look.
Yeah, I mean, at least Dak took the hit. He said it was the most humbling game he'd ever been a part of after the game, and it should be. I mean, it was bad. I mean, the Cowboys offense had 59 net rushing yards.
Yeah.
We have seen multiple running backs in multiple other games put that up for the same offense. The running backs, not the whole offense. That's completely bonkers for me. And what's worse is when he wasn't pressured, when he had time, he was 9 of 17 for 77 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He had a 25.5 QB rating when there was
Yeah.
no pressure on him. That's not, oh, my O-line sucks. There's people flying at me. That's, oh, I'm just gonna fucking suck right now and not find a target and not throw the ball away. Like, I don't know. Maybe he had a migraine or maybe he's sick or something, but man, it was bad.
No, I just think, and I think the Cowboys are similar to Minnesota in that who were the Cowboys when they were the best? When you had CeeDee Lamb, but who else? Amari Cooper. They
Yeah.
haven't been as good without Amari Cooper. They got rid of Dalton Schultz. They tried to replace him with these young tight ends, but Dalton Schultz was damn good, and they got rid of Zeke. And I know Tony Pollard is talented, but what's better than Tony Pollard? Two good running backs, a 1-2 punch. And Zeke was great in the red zone. He was a locker room leader. He was a pass blocker. You get rid of talent, you're not going to get better. And as bad as Kellen Moore was, his offensive coordinator, I think Mike McCarthy might be worse.
Hmm. I have had a lot to say about Mike McCarthy over the past, decade and a half or so.
Yeah,
I don't know why they were giving him so much credit for Dallas's success.
yeah,
I don't think he makes the best decisions, and I think he is stuck coaching in a manner that would have been great in the 80s, maybe.
yeah,
He does not move with the times, he does not advance, he does not change his way. He gets stuck in a rut and people figure him out, and he changes way too slowly for the NFL of 2023.
yeah. Let's give some credit to the Niners. Brock Purdy, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. George Kittle, 3 receiving touchdowns for the first time in his career. Uh, Real quick, ESPN analyst and former quarterback Dan Orlovsky says, quote, replace Brock Purdy with Mac Jones, and this 49ers offense is just as successful. What are your thoughts on that?
What the fuck?
Well, it's coming from the guy who ran out of the back of the end zone,
I was
but
gonna say, first of all, why would we take anything
That's
Orlovsky.
ESPN.
I
That's
mean,
ESPN's
okay,
like
so
crowning jewel.
there's a reason
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that because I just refuse. Like, I will read my sports news, I will read the facts. I don't need people's commentary because most of them are idiots.
Well,
Like, I
Pat
just want the
Pat
information.
Pat McAfee asked Aaron Rodgers about it, and Rodgers laughed and was like, who are they hiring over here at
Right.
ESPN? Like,
See, McAfee and Rogers, I will watch that shit all day. But
yeah,
I mean, God, the no bullshit approach is just so much preferred to ESPN. I cannot stand ESPN.
yeah,
And
it's
just,
narratives.
oh, they
It's
just run
crazy.
their mouths.
But
Anyway,
do you think there's something to the 49ers system? I mean, at some point, we got to give Brock Purdy some credit, right?
I mean, we just need to forget the idea that he's their weakness. I think he is another strength. I think he's good. I think
Yeah.
I think people want to assume that he's just good because of the system he's in, because of how he got there and when he was picked in the draft, etc. But I mean, he had such an efficient night. He was 17 of 24, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a 144.4 passer rating.
Yeah,
It
against a
was
good defense.
beautiful
A
against
good
a good
defense.
defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas's defense has been touted all season for being good. I mean, the O-line was great, so he had plenty of time, but he didn't, I mean, he's not feeling any pressure.
Yeah.
Like, I have seen him, people running at him and he does what he needs to do. He stays focused. I think he's actually good and people just don't want to believe it. And I don't think Mac Jones would do anything in the
No.
same situation. Mac Jones is just bad, and New England needs to accept that.
I think Brock Purdy's strength, it isn't his arm talent. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. It's between the ears. He seems to be
Mhm.
able to process and
Yep.
read defenses at an extremely high level. And you look at what that did for Kurt Warner and
Hmm.
Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Were those guys extremely talented guys? I mean, they had arm talent, but they're not, you know, they got it done between the ears. And we could be talking about Brock Purdy 10 years down the road from now with multiple Super Bowl MVPs like Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's just Brock Purdy is just the fourth quarterback since 1950 to win each of his 10 first starts.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
he's an elite company, and I feel like people are just we're really set on hating on him. I don't know why. Like, I trust him, but the narrative around him is just like, oh no, he's not actually good, and I don't understand
well,
why.
that's why on this podcast and me in particular, I love to dispel narratives because I think they're lazy. And I think it's a
Mhm.
casual fan thing. Casual fans sit back and say, oh, it's the system. I could sit in there and be successful in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And narratives are oftentimes wrong. Think for yourself, watch the game with your eyes, and and judge it for yourself. And at some point, you have to give Brock Purdy some. We have to give Brock Purdy some respect for just getting the job done and being successful. It's hard to win in the NFL. I don't care who is on your team, and if you can win at a consistent level and blow out, early in the season, the Cowboys were talking about the doomsday defense was back. Well, the doomsday defense just gave up 42 points on national TV. So,
Yeah. I was wondering about that doomsday defense narrative when looking at the teams they were playing.
yeah.
It seemed a little sus. This was the game I was waiting to see if the Cowboys were actually good in, and they are not.
Well,
So
when the Cardinals beat them, I knew there was something flawed there.
yeah,
So,
but every now and then you just have a fluke game where you just,
yeah.
you can just have a rough game every now and then. But this was the game that I thought, like, because the Cardinals, they might have, like, taken their foot off the gas, thought it was going to be an easy win, not been in the right mindset. This is the one that they would have shown up to if they were like, okay, this is going to be a challenge. We're all in on this game. So this one
Yeah.
should not have blindsided them at all, and they looked blindsided.
Yeah, and I wanted this to be a good game. I wanted the Cowboys to show up and this be, it's Sunday Night Football. We want a game to come down to the wire, be
Mhm.
27-24, and we just didn't get it. George Kittle shows after the game. He lifts up his jersey to show
Mhm.
everyone his "Fuck Dallas" T-shirt he's got on
It
with
was
the three
beautiful.
touchdowns.
Beautiful.
So, all right, we spent enough time. Now we got to talk about your Packers loss on Monday Night Football.
No, no, I think our hour's up. I think we need to end the podcast there.
Uh, I picked the Raiders, and let me tell you this straight up: don't pick the Raiders. It's stressful as fuck. Josh McDaniels sucks. Jimmy G's unreliable. The Raiders still somehow pulled this out. What
What
were
do you
your
mean
thoughts watching this
somehow?
game?
They
Huh?
somehow- You said they still somehow pulled it off. I mean, the Packers fucking sucked. Everything
Yeah,
sucked in the Packers. Like, what do you mean? It was pretty obvious how they pulled it off. However, the Raiders didn't play well either. Like this game was
yeah,
messy, ugly, disappointing on both sides of the ball. Both offenses were unable to break 300 yards total.
yeah.
Total. Like no running backs averaged even 4 yards per carry on either side. No receivers hit 100 yards. The quarterbacks threw very bad throws that led to interceptions.
Yeah.
Granted, Love threw, three. The Raiders threw one. I mean, the Raiders
But
had some super suspect, overly safe
Jimmy
coaching calls too.
Jimmy G could have been picked off 2 or 3 times too.
Yeah, but our defense sucked, and we were missing our three best defensive players. So there was no the people who would have picked him off were not in the game. So yeah. I mean, it even though the Raiders won, there was some stupidly safe coaching calls. Devontae Adams was in that game for like most of it, but you only saw him for a few plays.
Yeah, not until the end.
It was weird. I was like, where is he? Like, I had to keep looking to see if he was on the field because I couldn't figure out what the fuck was happening. And we were bad. Like our defense
Yeah,
is injured, we're lackluster. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, we've seen Jordan Love look like a high school kid that was thrown into an NFL game. Like
yeah,
he is lost, he is undercoached, he is overmatched, underprepared. I mean, you the end of the game, 35 yards, we're down 4 points. There's time left on the clock. That used to be an obvious win for the Packers. It
yeah.
felt so far. It may as well have been 200 yards. And there was no point where I was like, oh, the Packers are to come back and win this. I was like, oh, they will fuck this up somehow. It is such a tough season to be a Packers fan, and that's fine. We can have a rebuilding year. We're spoiled little shits. We're used to Aaron Rodgers and his miraculous Hail Mary situations coming back. But man, it is so tough to see this kid who may or may not have some talent miss really obvious, simple plays. They're not, the big fancy earth shattering ones, but miss really simple situations where he could get a first down and instead go for that big play. I mean, he could have easily picked up the first down at the end of the game there. He could have just ran the ball himself, stopped the clock. Instead, he threw a sloppy pass into the end zone for his third interception of the game, 44 seconds left, to just give our comeback attempt to the Raiders.
Well, this is something that I talked about this offseason going into the year. You've got Jordan Love, who's a young player with not a lot of experience, going into his first season as a full-time starter. And I look at the receiving core and the tight ends, and it's youth everywhere. And while there's some promising talent, it's really young. And don't isn't it common sense that it would have helped Green Bay to sign a veteran or two that could have helped not only Jordan Love but the young receivers as well? And in times like this, when you need to go get a game-winning drive, Jordan Love has a reliable veteran that he can go to, like a DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, bring AJ Green out of retirement, get Larry Fitzgerald, somebody,
Listen, for the
you
past two
know.
years, I have been telling them, obviously, they're not listening, to go for AJ. Like he was available, he was a free agent. We just didn't
Yeah,
care. It makes me crazy. Like I understand we're allowed to have a rebuilding year. Oh, there's a lot of young talent. Romeo Dobbs cannot fucking catch anything.
yeah.
Like it's so tough to watch. And I know they'll, get better with time and all that, but the rest of the division besides the Lions are so shitty. Like if we could pull off, a just above 500 season, we have a shot at the division. But I don't see that happening at all. And I have said out loud multiple times, I went into the season with no expectations. We could have 4 wins, we could have 12 wins. I had no idea what was going to happen. It's definitely looking like 4.
I think they're better than I thought. I was shitting on the Packers, in my previews going into the season. I thought they were going to finish last in the division. I think they're a 6 or 7 win team, and potentially maybe 8. but you have to. Jordan Love has to get more experience. You need Aaron Jones back out there desperately, um, and hopefully it gets better with time. You need the defense to be healthy, but this is a winnable game against Vegas that they just didn't get the job done. Turnovers, like I said, will kill you. Uh, Credit to the Raiders. Robert Spillane with 2 interceptions. Jacoby Myers played well. And Josh Jacobs, I thought looked better. Mine for 89 yards and a touchdown. And, had a couple plays where he broke free. And how about this? In my opinion, probably the play of the game was Marcus Peters' horse collar tackle.
It
That
was
actually,
so fucking smart. Oh my God.
yeah.
It
And
was sorry. Can I take this one?
yeah, go for
As a Packers fan, I was so pissed because I saw it
it.
happen and I was like, fuck, that should have been a touchdown. And then I realized his horse collar tackle and then holding us to 3 there, it
Yeah,
saved them 4 points off the board. Like, yeah, it was a shitty penalty, but it was so fucking smart. And he knew that. Like,
yeah.
he's not the kind
Just
of guy
keep
who
him
was like,
out.
oh, let me aggressively stop this guy with a very blatant horse collar tackle. Like, he was like, okay, well, if I just keep him out of the end zone and we can get a stop because their offense sucks today, then we hold him to 3 and then it's a 4-point game. Four
Yep.
points was all they fucking needed.
Yep. Veteran corner. He's been around a long time,
I know. It
you
was
know.
so fucking brilliant and it pissed me off so much. But looking back, like Marcus Peters and Robert Spillane, fucking, they were so good together. They were such a great 1-2 punch on defense. I mean, Spillane had the game of his life. He was the first Raiders linebacker to record multiple interceptions in any game since 2001. I
Damn.
mean, one was just a super shitty pass from Love. Cool, first
Hmm.
pick, take it, whatever. The second was deflected by Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just so in sync and they were so good. And obviously, like the whole game was a shit show. I don't think either team was good, but there were definitely a couple good players, and those two are on the top of my list.
Yeah, people have been trying to write off Marcus Peters and Patrick Peterson for years now, and I keep telling them, "What are you talking about? These are two of the best veterans in the league. Sure, they get beat once in a while. That happens to every corner in football. These guys are smart. They're veterans. You don't last 10 plus years in the NFL without being a hell of a corner."
Agreed.
Um, and I love Max Crosby. He had a solid game as
He did.
well.
Yeah.
Big fan of his. Aaron Rodgers calls out Josh McDaniels and the Raiders, says, "You got Devontae Adams going against his former team. 4 targets ain't it? Ain't it? You know what I mean?" So Rodgers coming to the defense of Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels. I mean, what's with the training wheels? He
He
is trading.
sucks. He's
I mean,
not an NFL head coach.
no, but hey, God, you gotta fucking risk it. I mean, the Packers are not that good. Like,
Yeah.
take some risks here. I mean, he's coaching like they don't want to lose more than they want to win.
If I'm Devontae Adams, I'm surprised he hasn't requested a trade yet because he signed with the Raiders to be with his former college teammate Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, Derek Carr is better than Jimmy G. And I think Derek Carr gives the Raiders a better chance to win. Josh McDaniels just is a shitty talent evaluator. He went to Denver the first time and immediately traded away Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall. Like, how stupid can you be for Kyle Orton? Come on now. And he's doing the same thing in Vegas. He sucks. The Raiders, as soon as you move on from Josh McDaniels, it'll be for the better.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen him we've given him criticism for his decision to kick a field goal, trailing the Steelers by 8 points in week 3.
Yeah, yeah,
Monday night, I think, was worse. I mean, the Raiders forced a Packers punt. They had a minute and 40 left on the clock, and instead of using one of his 2 timeouts, he just used up a minute on the
yeah.
clock.
I know. I was like, what are you doing?
That and like obviously I was like, oh, that was stupid. Cool. Maybe the Packers will pull off a win here. But as an objective fan during that game, like what the fuck was that? Like, and then
Yeah,
later in the game, he attempted another long field goal, 52 yards, which doinked off the right upright, instead of going for it. Like you're on
yeah.
4th and 2. You have clearly had the Packers handled for this entire game. Like just go for it. I mean, I know you and I are not stats people generally, but I mean, what's the harm there? Like 3 points, and they didn't even get the 3 points.
Yeah,
Like,
and if you're gonna kick it, you got to make it a rough game for Daniel Carlson. It's cool the Carlson brothers
I
are
know,
in
it's
this
so
game with their family.
cute.
I knew you would like that. But
Well,
Daniel Carlson with a rough game in front of his family.
yeah, but I mean, it was still
You're
cute. They got to play together. They still got the win. Like it would be one thing if he lost the game
yeah.
because of that kick, but they didn't lose. So, they can spare a field goal. I think it was so cute. Before the game kicked off, he like passed his brother on the field and they were like hugging and talking, and he
Yeah.
squirted water into his little brother's mouth, the rookie Anders. I thought it was precious.
Oh my God. Um, and Anders has yet to miss a kick. So Anders and Cairo coming through for both our teams, solid
Yeah.
kickers.
And it was weird. I mean, Mason Crosby has been just there for as long as I can remember for the Packers. So moving from him to literally anyone has been an interesting transition, but I've got high hopes for Anders.
Yeah, seems to be a pretty good rookie. So let's week 6, Thursday night football, let's end it with our picks here. 1-4 Broncos at the 4-1 Chiefs. I know you're taking Denver in Arrowhead, aren't you?
Fuck off. My husband wishes. No, there's no way in hell Denver does anything here. Kansas City's gonna win by 40.
I will not pick the Broncos again. Well, I can't say again, but for a while. Give me the Chiefs at home, not by 40, but comfortably.
I want to know something about scheduling. I understand there's a bye week in between here, but how are you
Hmm.
gonna do Broncos at Chiefs 10-12, and then the Broncos very next game, Chiefs at Broncos,
Yeah,
the 29th.
sometimes
Man, that
sometimes the
sucks.
scheduling is, yeah. And for Denver too, Denver's like, can we catch a break? Like,
God, not these fuckers again. Jesus. Poor Rosen.
but well, good shit, Amanda. That was a fun episode, and we'll get our preview. We'll make sure and get our previews out this week. But man, everyone keep subscribing, keep following along. The numbers keep going up. What's really hitting off right now on the channel is the rewatches. So if you get a chance, check out the rewatches. Those are 4 out of our 5 top videos are rewatches. So we need to get more of those episodes out. Check those out. Check out our weekly previews and recaps of the NFL season all season long. We're trying to get a couple player interviews, and me and Amanda will keep the content coming out all season long. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and if you have any friends who also hate the ESPN bullshit narrative that they keep putting out, send them the link. Get them to hop on our Facebook page or Twitter. Get them on the YouTube podcast. Have them subscribe because we try to do a very no bullshit, no follow what the media is saying approach, and just look at the facts and how people are playing and form our opinions from there.
Absolutely, we talk the real, and we're both super educated. So follow along, hit that subscribe. Appreciate all the support. Good shit as always, Amanda. And we'll be back next week, or actually Friday. We'll be back.
All right. Night, everyone.
Peace out.